So that's how what investment bankers do. They are basically deal enablers and deal I would say a bit of market makers. They help the buyer and seller meet and try to negotiate a deal between them. Again, of course, IB has hectic work hours and it's for a reason, right? Realize that most of the things that you do in IB are very time sensitive. There are no skills in IB that can't be learned, that can't be learned. Everything can be learned.
Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Fincast by Financially Yours. I am Venkat and here I have Rajat Khurana with me. We are current FY members at IMK. In this podcast series, we try to delve into the nuances of finance domain to bridge the gap to the real world.
For today's episode, we are honored to have Ronak Shah, a distinguished IMK alumni and a former FI member who has made inroads in the world of investment banking.
And a CFA who joined IMK in 2021. Ronak joined IIM post his stint at Deloitte in valuation role. Currently, Ronak is an investment banker at Ambit, focusing on the infrastructure and energy sectors.
When he is not navigating the complexities of investment banking, Ronak enjoys indulging in his passion for writing. He shares insightful articles on his LinkedIn, and further, he was among the people who took the initiative to start Finbus, a monthly newsletter which has continued till date.
Join us as we explore Ronak's journey, his insights into the financial industry, and the experiences that have shaped his remarkable career. Welcome to the podcast, Ronak. Welcome, Ronak.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, Rajat. Thanks, Venkat. I'm, yeah, I mean, I'm glad for this opportunity to help contribute to, financially yours, and just like at IMK also. So, thank you for giving this opportunity. And yeah,
So, Ronak, to begin with, please share your story of getting into front end IB at Ambit and how was the life at IMK and how has life been post IMK?
yeah, sure. So yeah, I'll just tell a brief, I think, story on how my journey has been, right? So post my CA, I had a I was since I interned with PwC, I always wanted to get into the core fields of finance and the world. Whether you look at equity research or IB or PE, that was something that fascinated me. So I pursued my additional qualification in CFA, and during that time, I got to know more about much deeper knowledge, I would say, on to the various aspects of what finance, the other fields are. And one thing that I wanted to like venture into was IB. And at my point, at my time, even though if you were a chartered accountant or a CFA or something, getting right into a good front-end investment bank was still a bit of not a very easy path, I would say. So what I thought was that, okay, let's take a step back and think about what could I do to get into IB? What is the one step back which would help me to get into IB at a later stage? So I thought about that valuations is something that is very that would help me gain the relevant skill sets that would help me get into IB. And then I joined Deloitte, did my valuations, and I was there for more than 2 years. At Deloitte, I was majorly part of infrastructure valuations. So basically, for infrastructure valuations is you value a lot of infrastructure assets like ports, road, metros, airports, renewable energy, utilities, etc. So there I worked a lot with the I would say the UK counterparts or the UK Deloitte member firm, and it was I think a very holistic experience because you actually get to implement all those valuation and finance concepts that you learned in your CA and CFA, and that actually helps you to gain a more deeper insight how to make models from scratch, how to apply the various valuation concepts, what to and also I would say these were the technical aspects, but also you learn a lot about the sectors the market, and also you also learn how to communicate with the your counterparts within the team and everything. So I think that was a very good that set me up for a very good base at Deloitte, where I learned a lot. And post that, I decided that let me give a shot for MBA, because an MBA would help me get into the world of IB. And fortunately, it worked out. I mean, I joined my MBA at that point of time at IMK. Very few, I mean, front-end investment banks were there, but I thought that let me make a, I mean, chance upon it and go for the MBA. And I think it worked out very well, I would say, because I was able to, I mean, get into Ambit in the front-end investment banking. So that way, my journey has been really, I mean, again, I wouldn't say a cakewalk, but it would obviously, I would say, a step-by-step progression on how I wanted to achieve my goal. So that was something that helped me. Yeah. Also, I think you also asked the life post IMK, right? And so, I mean, of course, you definitely miss those college days. Like, yeah, nothing can replace it. I mean, career is one thing, but those I would literally call the college period as golden period, because you I mean are involved with you meet a lot of new people. You get a lot of insights, plus you get a lot of freedom also. And also you try to, I mean, explore newer fields and like look at other what are other people doing. So I think that way, and plus the best part is that in terms of responsibilities, there are much fewer responsibilities compared to post MBA. So definitely MBA life, I would say, is the most golden period, which for anyone, I would say. Post IMK, again, I joined Ambit in May last year. And so again, it has been quite a steep learning curve. So right from the start, I was involved in the multiple deals and everything. So I think that way it's quite good. I got to learn a lot about IB and everything. So again, it's been like more than a year, so I wouldn't profess that I know a lot about Ivy, but I just would try to give my shot here at the podcast. So yeah.
So, Ronak, do you remember your interview days, placement season when you got the shortlist from Ambit and then preparing for interview and getting into it? Can you
Yeah,
narrate us that story?
yeah, definitely. I mean, that was like a bit of I mean, an interesting experience, I would say. So, preparation wise, I was preparing for, I mean, for IB for quite a lot of time. And my shortlist, it appeared, like my name appeared in the shortlist. There was initial test, and then on the D day, which was 4th of December last year, sorry, 4th of December in 2023. And that day multiple rounds happened and everything. And I remember I was at this restaurant, Rasa, and I was having very hungry, and I was having some kind evening snacks and all. And I got a call from Playscom that hey, you got I mean selected and all. So it was quite wonderful, I would say, to I mean get something that you really want. And so quite good. And in fact, the interview experience, I would say, was also quite good and all. I mean, I remember my interview happened by the time a lot of people had got done with first rounds. Mine had not even started with the first round. People were already progressing with the second round, and I was like a bit anxious on like, is it like they have already closed it out and all? But I think it really helped to keep that patience and all, and go through those multiple rounds of interview. And I think it was like the interview experience was also quite good for me. A lot of people uh, consider that interview is more of like a very stressful exercise. Again, yes, I agree, it's a bit stressful, but you also have to read that even the other person wants to have a more vocal conversations, wants to know about you, wants to know how much you know about, and wants to like know what's the willingness and all. So I think, be it like not just IB, but for any interview, I would say that uh, treat it more as like a kind of a conversation rather than a like a like an interrogation round where you are like badgered or something. So that way, I think it helped. But yeah, it was overall an good experience, I would say.
That's a very useful tip for people sitting for placements, Ronak. So you got into Ambit through campus placements, right? But what is the path for someone who is interested in front-end IB but couldn't get into it through the campus placements? So what are the other roles which can lead into front-end IB?
Sure. The other roles that which I feel that uh, uh, my like again helped me to get into front end IB, right? The first preference, of course, is the like if you are at a back end or mid level investment banking. So in that case, getting to front end IB is still again I would not term anything as easier. Everyone has to put in the efforts and everything, but and
Right.
these are some fields which I would be saying where uh, people from like recruiters from IB and all they look bit favorably, I would say, or at least give a preference as compared to others. So. Uh, Backend and front-end IB is one, valuations is one. If you are in, say, venture capital, I think that is also something that investment bankers look favorably. Venture capital or private equity, I would say. In fact, people who are in project finance roles, those they see a lot of these fields which I'm mentioning. The common part is that some of the skill sets, core IB skill sets, which I would be touching upon later, there those are something that is common between all those fields, whether it's valuation or backend IB or project finance. These fields have some sort of Excel modeling exercise, some sort of basic finance knowledge, valuation knowledge, I would say, market knowledge and everything. So that way, these are look some skill sets based on which IB folks consider them preferably. I would say a bit of consulting also. The reason being that from people who are in consulting, they gain a very, I would say, deeper expertise or deeper market knowledge from in a particular sector. And because IB is also sector specific, they people in this fields are also kind of looked a bit favorably. Again, not a lot. The essential, again, one of the essential thing is that you need to know basic, I would say, Excel and modeling skills there. So that is something that's there. So yeah, I think these are some fields that people can, I mean, try to move into. But yeah, again, these are something not like a benchmark something. I have seen people in very different fields, but because they showed that willingness, they showed that they know the technical skills and they have tried to work upon them and have shown a very deeper interest. That way, even those have been considered. So yeah.
So, Ronak, what about the work-life balance in investment banking? Right now, we are sitting at 11:30, and we are thankful for you to give us time after your busy day. Just wanted to know how do you manage work-life balance in investment banking?
See, work-life balance, I would say, is a very subjective thing, right? Some might consider that like I'm okay with a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 job, but some might be, I mean, even okay with like, I mean, like say 9 to 9 or 9 to 10 or something. So, of course, IB has hectic work hours, and it's for a reason, right? I mean, at the start, you like would feel that why is it so hectic and all, but as you progress more into the, I would say more into the like months and every and into especially the deals, you realize that most of the things that you do in IB are very time sensitive. There's a deal that's going on, or say there's a pitch that's going on. It's very competitive, and you need to try to put out your best effort on every I will on every day, I would say. So there can't be a like a I would say that of course there are slack periods and all, but in terms of work-life balance, I mean it's hectic for sure, and which is very similar to what consulting guys also do. So sometimes you end up working late at night, even on weekends and all. So that is something that I would say one needs to be prepared for. And see, again, as I said, it's all because that everything is time sensitive. You are, if say, if you're working with investors or the client, they need to get that information to take the next set of decisions. Otherwise, someone else would buy or sell the thing or sell it to someone else. So in that case, you have to be up on your toes and everything, and try to best and like always deliver in the best possible way. So that way it's hectic, I would say. But again, there are slack periods which are there. Typically, again, it depends from like how on what kind, like at what firm do you work and what's the deal flow, I would especially if there's a lot of deal flow which typically happens in a particular part of the year or based on the sector on how the sector is performing. In that case, you see everyone working till late and that's how the norm is. But sometimes there are few days when you even get a slacker period. So yeah, but again, as I said, work-life balance is a subjective thing. So
Mhm.
it needs to be evaluated on what one wants from life, right? So wouldn't make many extreme judgments or opinions here. So yeah,
So, Ronak, actually, we welcomed the new batch just last week, and in our interactions with juniors, we noticed that many students want to get into IB. However, a lot of them have no idea what IB actually is. So, to help them navigate, can you explain what exactly is front-end IB and what is the work that is done and why is it so glorified? And also, please explain the structure of an IB firm and the growth trajectory in the firm.
sure, sure. I'll take one question at a time and try to do justice.
Mm,
So, I mean, in terms of what exactly do people in IB do, right? So, IB is basically like you are involved in the deal making process. Say, for example, there's a buyer and there's a seller, right? I'm taking very simple examples here just for the benefit of simplicity. So, say there's a buyer and seller. If you are look like they say, if you are on the sell side, then the seller say approaches you and they say that, hey, listen, I want to raise some funding and sell a stake of my company, or say I want to sell my whole company. In that case, you as a banker would try to help that person or say that company on how best they can find the correct buyers, I would say. Again, there's no correct buyers as such, but what is like I would say a strategic fit, which people term as basically how good would be the buyers for my company. So you scout for opportunities, you look out for if there are any interesting buyers, you pitch the your company, and by pitching you try to like basically sell your company in such a best possible way just so that you can get maximum attention of the buyers. So in this case, because one part is scouting for opportunities. Now, once you again going by the deal flow process, once you have scouted for I would say a lot of buyers, say if some buyers are interested, right? Then they would give a soft indication first that hey, listen, let's have a talk on. I'm interested in your company by the initial pitch. Let's have a talk. You have a talk with them. You explain them more about the company. There's sometimes there's meeting between between the founder and the buyer. And if so, the buyer is more interested, then they try to get into some I would say like a kind of a binding offers or something. They do a full-fledged valuation at their end. You also prepare a model for your company at this end. And then that's how the deal progresses. And if all things work well, if the buyer, if the price and everything at the end negotiated works out well, in that case, the deal closes. And you as an investment banker basically earn a commission, uh, fixed percentage of the total deal amount, or sometimes it's also fixed. So that's how what investment bankers do. They are basically uh, deal enablers and deal I would say a bit of market makers. They help the buyer and seller meet and try to negotiate a deal between them. Again, when you are looking at on the buy side, say you have a buyer and he said that, hey, listen, I want to buy some really good opportunity. I have a lot of money with me. So you then look out for opportunities on the buy, opportunities that would again suit your buyer. And then you would try to again look in a very similar fashion. You just like in the sell side, you interact with multiple sellers and you try to see which is the strategic fit. You go forward with some of them, and if you really feel that, hey, listen, it's the best, you try to advise the buyer company on like what is the you develop a valuation for them again in a similar model and everything, and then go about helping negotiating like a good I would say price for the target company. So that's how it's about deal making. It's about and M&A. There are other aspects of IB where, say, for example, capital funding raising, which is called the capital markets. These equity capital markets are basically where, or even say debt funding. Equity or debt funding is basically you help the target company raise funds from the overall market, rather than just looking for a one or two particular buyers per se. You look out, tend to go to the broader market and try to raise capital through IPO, FPOs, or rights issues or bonus issues. So, I mean, that's what IB is. It's deal making at the end of the day. Uh, Rajat, you can go forward with the other questions. Sorry, didn't get the other questions.
We were asking about the career growth trajectory in an IB firm and how the organization structure of an IB firm is.
Sure. Uh, Again, organization structure depends from firm to firm, right? So in boutique IB firms, you typically have a more leaner, shorter structure. There's not a lot of hierarchies. The associate works directly with the MDs or the partners, and they sometimes even the associate himself runs the deal. It's only that the MD is involved in the negotiation and the pitching. So that way. If you look at bulge banks, there's a or even say the mid-sized banks. In those banks, you have a like a hierarchy in terms of the where there's analysts and associates and senior associates who work majorly on the execution part. There's VPs and AVPs who are basically the main deal drivers who help review and get the deal uh, going in a particular direction, and they are at the end of the day majorly responsible for the deal on how it should go, what things need to be done. Finally comes the MD. They are more involved in the business development, but yes, they do come on, like, say for example, if you're on a particular deal, there are particular issues or something, or that's something they need to drive the deal forward in a particular way, which involves set of meetings or negotiations, then they also come in. So that way, the typical hierarchy comes in the IB firm. Coming to the structure, I mean, if I say in terms of functions of IB, broadly there are, I would say, the M&A and the and the capital markets. So both of this, as I mentioned, M&A is broadly involved in mergers and acquisition of targets and whether it's a stake or entire companies. Uh, Capital markets are more involved into the raising of funds for from a large group of investors or even certain set of investors per se. So yeah.
So, Ronak, now you just explained the process about how the work happens at an investment bank. Just wanted to understand how much of a hustle it is to manage the work and multiple meetings every.
In terms of hustle, yeah, I mean, in front-end investment banking, one thing that is particularly different is what that you are very much involved with the investors or the client, right? I mean, even though you are at execution level, if say you join right from MBA as an associate, and you start I wouldn't say from day one, but after a couple of months, uh, that then people would need to have a confidence on you where you are directly able to, I mean, have a chat with the client or the investor, explain them what you have done, and even set up meetings. A lot of time you have to coordinate with a lot of stakeholders to set up meetings and all. Now that involves a lot of, I mean, effort and bandwidth because see at the end of the day you are the deal driver, right? You it's in your very good intentions that you try to get things done in a faster way, because the more that the deal kind of prolongs, there's more a chance of issues to come up, and then the deal might fall apart, right? So in that case you have to just try to, I mean, like I would say, not strategize, but try to keep moving the, like, keep the deal moving forward. So it involves a lot of meetings and trying to get things done. Yes.
So, Ronak, many students wants to get into IB, but there are few widespread notions about IB among students. So, please request you to shed some light on whether they are just myths or facts. First one being, IB is the highest paying finance rule compared to the other finance rules.
I wouldn't agree that it's the highest paying job. There are other jobs out there. Again, I don't know a lot about the pay scale range and everything. Sometimes, see, the idea is that if you are good at your work, right, and if you are at the right place who basically rewards you for your effort and who knows that there's a USP to you, right, you can get higher pay and everything. So, IB is, yes, definitely one of the highest paying jobs in the finance industry. But yeah, I've seen that people in equity research also get paid handsomely. People in private equity also are paid in a very good way. And even for I would say other fields like people in I mean a bit of project finance who are at a very big firms and all, especially at CXO levels and all. So even those get paid quite in a good manner. So again, like I think it's a myth that it's the highest paying job. There are other jobs in finance that may pay well.
Thank you, Ronak. Coming to the second one, be it consulting or IB, everyone talks about exiting to a PEVC rule. Is it very easy to take an exit to PEVC from IB?
Okay. Uh, First, I would I mean talk a bit why I mean people again, just like IB consulting, people fancy PE or VC a lot, right? Uh, in private equity firms, people work a lot on the deals, very similar to IB. But the essential part is that in the private equity, you become an investor rather than at IB, you are majorly involved in a particular deal and getting the deal done. And of course, you are of course interested in the repeat business and everything, but you are majorly concerned on getting the deal done and getting the revenue. But in private equity, you have to understand that you are acting as a very major investor. So in that case, you are someone who has to like do a lot of diligence and evaluate whether this particular investment makes sense in terms of the overall portfolio strategy, and whether it's a very risky investment or not. How would it go about and everything. Now, because some people find this bit of a like a intellectually stimulating thing, and of course in P at upper levels you start earning carry, which is like a form of return on from the investment. If your investment crosses a particular threshold, in that case you start earning basically whatever the profits out of those investments. So in that, people find that as quite cool and everything. I would say especially people in IB and all because they feel that at PE you have maybe lesser workers and then try to have more better quality of work or something. But again, these are not entirely true, I would say. A lot of stuff that PE guys say at the entry level, they do very similar work as what the IB folks at the junior levels do. It involves a lot of execution, like preparation of memo, scouting of opportunities, preparing models. So uh, it's a myth that, first of all, it's a myth that people that your life in PE or something would get, I would say, easier rather than IB. Uh, so it's a bit of a myth. Um the uh, the other thing that I would say is like the exit from IB is again I wouldn't say it's entirely easy or a cakewalk. Yes, you definitely have a edge compared to people in other fields where who because see the work that's done or this kind of skill sets that are required in IB in PE are very similar in IB, like your technical skills like modeling, preparing pitch decks, writing memos uh, uh, like communication with multiple stakeholders and looking out for opportunities, having that market knowledge, and doing a lot of due diligence. Those are some things that PE folks also do. So that's why they favor IB folks and people from consulting also. Just a bit, I would say, not I would say entirely, because uh, these guys typically have the kind of skill sets. Again, consultants also have a very deep market knowledge, right? Which is also essential in IB because see, if you are making an investment in a particular company, you need to know know a lot about the sector as well as the company. See, so that's why consultants who especially have performed a lot of commercial due diligence, those folks come in handy because they know a lot of market insights, which are very handy when you're going on the buy side, which is the private equity. So that way, it's again, but it's a myth that the exits are very simple, or like if you go in IB in 1 year or something, that in IB or consulting, in 1 year you'll be like easily able to exit to P or say it does not happen that way. A lot depends on how the overall market is, what's the deal flow, what the investor sentiment is, and also it depends, I mean, uh, on what kind of opportunities do you get, right? It's not always like a fair game out there. Sometimes it's like a boom see, it's a boom year. A lot of PE guys are hiring. You might get a shot, but then sometimes it's not, and then you have to basically, I mean, stay at IB firm and everything. Personally, I would say that like again, it's matlab not entirely a very fair game, I would say. There are like I would say preference for IB people, but yes, not entirely, I would say.
Thanks, Ronak. So, coming to the third one, IB is the most coveted role in finance. And basically, there's this perception that IB only involves putting into practice all the finance concepts on a very daily basis. And considering this, IB companies only prefer CA, CFAs for IB rules.
Uh, just to get your question correct, so you are basically saying that in the broader like umbrella of in terms of skill sets, that yeah. So I think in terms of skill sets, see skill IB, there are no skills in IB that can't be learned. Everything can be learned, in my opinion. It's just that even say if you are an engineer or a person who has not come from a financial background, of course things would be difficult at start and it would be tough. But then if you try to make that attempt to learn those financial skills, right? A couple of my friends at my batch and all, they were engineers and they did not know a lot about financial modeling or what it happens. But how they tried to do is that they try to do a lot of finance courses, especially enrolled in case comps, financial case comps that help to uh, may like bring out the best of their modeling skills and everything. Some did certifications and all. See, all of these things, if you try to learn and show a willingness, no, a lot of recruiters know that because you are a lot willing and passionate to learn new things, they are okay to consider you rather than just like, okay, this IB is just reserved for say XYZ people or something. So it's not that you, if you don't have those particular, I mean, credentials or that background, you can't get into IB. It's a lot about, I mean, skill sets. A couple of people at my firm also, they have come from like engineering backgrounds, like people from electronic engineering or even electrical engineering and all. So if you like, there's not a lot of correlation between what they have studied and what they are doing right now, right? But some of the best modeling skills which I've seen are some of the people that those are engineers, because they're those skills that they have learned and they have honed, and now and they showed those willingness, right? And that's why they are here where they are. So yes.
Hmm. I'm sure people from non-commerce background will get a lot of confidence hearing this from you, Ronak. So moving
Yeah.
on to the question, the golden question. Many of the people will be seeking for placements, will be eyeing for an IB job. So on that note, can you please share some insights on what kind of qualities an interviewer looks for in a candidate in this industry?
Sure. So I think in terms of skill sets, right? One thing is that uh, you don't need to be a hardcore Excel modeler or something. You need to know basic finance concepts, a bit of how the Excel concepts, how do things work, and how do I would say you should know the accounting concepts, the valuation concepts. You should know how the three statement financials which are there, how do those work and talk to each other, and how they are interlinked, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I think one thing that they really appreciate is that conceptual clarity, because that is something that, see, if you are someone who wouldn't have a lot of financial knowledge and everything, but if you are someone who that based on whatever you have learned, you are able to explain well and like are able to show that you are a quick learner. In that case, also people do appreciate that. So I think that is one thing. In terms of preparation, I would, as I said, those valuation concepts or accounting concepts or something. I remember financially yours brings out its own FY manual every year.
True.
And that is something that's a very, I would say, a very good beginning to start your finance prep. Other than that, there are a lot of, I would say, case studies and Wall Street OSS books out there. So
Hmm.
you can get a, I mean, ebook or something and just see what kind of questions, technical as well as non-technical questions that are asked. See, it's a lot helpful, right, to know what kind of questions are asked. Again, in my opinion, no one at IB asks something like a mind-boggling thing or some very difficult guesstimate or something. They are more interested on what's your background, what you have done, and what's your financial knowledge, what's your market knowledge. Again, this is something that people should, that at least they need to be aware about the market, especially if your resume has say one or two very specific sector like alignment. In that case, you should try to be like updated about the latest developments in that market, right? And other than that, try to know a bit more about the form that's going to come for interview. Know what is IB, what is the typical deal process, what are the deals that that particular firm has done. These firms publish the deals on their websites or even on LinkedIn. So try to know what is there. Show, I mean, because see, these are the things that, as I said, IBs and like about deal making, right? So in that case, you have to show that kind of willingness and like that you know about deals, what are the deals that are happening in the market, the sector that is there. Uh, I think other than that, you can, if you have taken like if you are someone from a non-financial background, and if you have took some finance courses, brushing them up would also be something that would be helpful, right? Because that would give you a good bonus point that you have learned about good financial academics at college. So that is there. Other than that, I think uh, like that's the like I would say major prep uh, which people in IB would like do.
Mm. We will definitely take your advice, and as FY members, we will try to help even our batchmates and juniors with these points.
So, Ronak, as we discussed placement, the current batch is currently going through their first placement batch meet. I hope you remember your experience with respect to the first placement batch meet you had.
Uh, I think I remember. See, so the thing was that at our time, uh, I remember Mackenzie had I think something opted out or like they had not come entirely because of the whole consulting thing that's going on. So there was a bit of a tension already at in the batch, right? And people were a bit worried, I would say. And of course, the first batchmate also highlighted from the PlaceCom and the PlaceCom chairperson that. Things are not entirely well in the market, right? So it was, I mean, a bit like anxiety, and in fact, the batch after me also had I mean, like there were a lot of people who had reached out to me regarding placement queries and everything. So that way, I mean, see, see your outcome, which I would say, like not just related to IB, your outcome in a particular interview or something is not entirely a factor of you. Or see, it's a lot about the market. What are the things? What are the roles that the company is coming for, and what also is their particular inclination. So, a lot of my like friends who say got did not get selected after second or third like role or company, they were a lot dejected and everything. See, I would just say that I mean uh, placements are not like I would say again, like not make some extreme statement or something, but they're not like your entire life has something that's dependent on it. So you like there are a lot of rules out there. There are a lot of things that's interesting out there, and you can always people always try to switch to things that they would want. In fact, I would say that just going by the hype of what like in college, a lot of people just hype a lot about consulting on IB. Even people who don't know about consulting, they also, after coming to college, they also want that even I want to go to for I'm in, consulting or seeing XYZ firm or something. And then the whole batch is like kind of makes takes them on a pedestal when their shortlist comes in those allied firms and all. But I would just say that like first thing is that you need to know like whether it's your inclination to get into those particular field or not, right? Again, experimenting through internships is also something that one should do. But then being so hard focused and everything that you are like that if I don't get anything, then I'm like gone or like it would be very tough and all. That's not a case. A lot of people, in fact, shift industry and fields after college also. So, and I feel that is probably a much better judgment call because at that point of time you like say after 1 or 2 years you learn about your industry, you also learn about the other industries where you want to go, you talk to people, you know, you actually get to know what's the ground reality, right? So a lot of folks again they are they always say that IBs I mean I want to go and they just look at the best parts which is like good money or say intellectually stimulating work or that that kick off like you are a deal closer or something. But you also need to understand that you are like also an executioner in a firm. That's a there's a deal involved and you are also someone who's responsible for execution. So at times there would be some level of grunt work that needs to be done. So that is also and this grunt work I'm not saying it's just specific to IB. whether you go to consulting, IB, any field, I would say, at ground levels, you are, I mean, expected to do a bit of grunt work. So that is something that should not come as a shocker that, hey, like right out of MBA school, I would want to be a like a major manager and start taking decisions or sit at the table and negotiate deals or be like a deal closer and all. See, those are all fancy stuffs. You are at the end of the day more of a execution and an enabler. So think there would be some things that you do that you won't like, that you feel that who aren't like suitable to your skill sets. But that's common, I would say, in like every field based on my limited interaction, I would say in the last 1 year with people from the other, like I have friends in other fields also. So it's you have like it's there in every field, I would say. So uh, this glorification which is there needs to be, I mean, taken with a bit of a salt, pinch of salt, I would say.
This advice is very much useful, especially considering the current job market scenario, Ronak.
Yeah.
Ronak, bet on your personal life. You have been proactive throughout your journey. In fact, you are one of the founding members of Finbus, the monthly newsletter by FY. We have seen through your LinkedIn you post a lot of content on finance or industry awareness. What has been the motivation behind all of this?
I remember when I joined FI with the other team members, and we were asked to brainstorm with couple of new initiatives, right? That would help the like IMK and the broader like public out there. So one of the things that we thought upon was that why not try for a newsletter? Again, then there was some level of like apprehension that was there, that every week or every month producing a detailed newsletter is something that's not like a lot of people won't read it, and also because see there's a limited span of attention that people have nowadays, and a lot of people would want to obviously like look at I mean other forms of knowledge in like YouTube videos and everything. So in that case, we were a bit apprehensive on whether we should go about it or not. But then what we thought was that like let's just do one thing. Let's produce a like a 2 to 3 page newsletter, and we'll try to do it monthly, just so that there's a not a lot of I mean like every month anxiety to get a lot of articles or something of that sort. Let's try to keep it natural and honest, and let's just start with it. And we started with it, and of course, the person from the design team, Harsh Tomar, which is the person from my batchmate, he produced a very amazing template and everything. And then a lot of people from my team, from the FI team, they contributed on the articles, and people were very, I mean, I would say jovial about it, because in the process of writing those articles, you also gained a lot of knowledge, and you also do a bit of research and everything. So, and we launched it. The first newsletter, I remember when it went out, I remember, I think, uh, s- uh, uh, Sony Thomas, who was like one of the who's one of the finance professors. He really appreciated that. In fact, Arvind sir also appreciated this initiative, and they said that this is very good going and it's really good, I would say. So that was, I think, one of the initiatives that. But I'm glad that it's still this initiative is going on through like in the last 2 years, and good job that you guys are doing and starting with this new podcast too.
Thank you, Ronak. In fact, the newsletter is a very famous thing that students in our batch go through. They keep asking. I interact with our batchmates, right? So they say we are looking forward to the next month newsletter. So it gives a lot of satisfaction to us. And as
Yeah.
FA, we will we'll draw inspiration from you, and we will try to do our best to bring new initiatives and uh, continue the legacy.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, yeah, I always like financially yours, and was glad to be associated with it during my MBA. And because one of the key I would goal of FI is to spread like financial knowledge to the broader IMK community and also to outside like outside IMK also. And that is something that I always see because as a financial person who has decent financial knowledge, I always would want to impart knowledge to others and would always want the others to learn. And at personal level, I can help one people, two people. But if I'm at a committee level, like say FY, in that case, I am able to reach a broader level of public and in broader audience, I would say, which would help to, gain like at least give some sort of satisfaction, right? Plus, it would also help the people who are there in the financially yours to also increase their knowledge as well as. So, if we say, for example, one of the things that FI does is the equity research reports. So, they do. That that is something that's very very relevant to what people who do an equity research outside IMK, and that is something that would help you gain all those financial valuation concepts as well as those preparing detailed reports and all. So I think that's a very good exercise which help. And plus again, it's always good to have a robust financial exercise and do it yourself and try to publish. So I remember that I and Akshay had at we had written a report on Polycap during our time, and we again I won't go at like the price and the target and all, but at the end of the exercise, we really like the whole thing that okay, there was an effort involved. We prepared the whole financial model, drafted a report, did market research, read the annual reports, uh, did read the con call
Mm.
receipts and everything. So in that case, it was really useful, and it had gained a new perspective um, there.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Ronak, for sharing your insights and experience with us. Looking forward to meet you in person. It has been a pleasure having you on the show. Would just request you to give one last advice to the current batch and the viewers.
Yeah, so again, if you ask me that what some things that I would want to redo if I had the chance to pursue my MBA again. One is that don't be so serious about life and placements. I know it's counterintuitive. I was there in that position. I did not get a PPO at BCG, had to cancel my forex and all, and it was like all hell broke loose and everything. But believe me, there are placements is not everything. So when you get out of college, you realize that some things that you initially wanted, that which was the goalpost prior to coming to MBA and after being in MBA, by the time you reach there, the goalpost has already shifted. So the life is I think always on this note that the goalpost would always keep shifting and it needs to keep shifting also. So you can't always be that if you can't reach a particular or something at some particular time, it does not mean that you'll never achieve that in life. In fact, a couple of my friends, who really wanted to get into investment banking, but during placements they could not get. In the last 1 year, they made a lot of attempts. They put in that hard work, interacted with alumni, they learned those skills which I was talking about and did best, I would say, and then they were able to switch. So it's not something that is entirely difficult. Even in this like the job market, which is a bit difficult right now, there are opportunities for people to shift and everything. So don't consider placement as the holy grail or something of that sort. The
Mm.
second thing I would say that try to, do more case comps, I say. And again, not from the result perspective that you need to get this as a CV point or something of that sort. Do it for the knowledge and do it for, I would say, the the learning. Because see, I think the best learning that you would get out of is doing those case comps. I was someone who did not do a lot of case comps, and believe me, the limited case comps that I did with my friends, I think it really helped me to do a lot of research and like trying to put in those effort and everything. It made it like I in fact did the Prodman case comp, and believe me, it was something that was not entirely out of my ballpark, or like it was entirely out of my but then I still had people engineers in my team, and I learned to make wireframes and all. So uh, believe me, once out of MBA, you won't get this luxury of doing a lot of things and everything. So I think it's best that you like try to do a bit more case comps, and lastly, just I would say party more.
Definitely. I like the third advice a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I mean, personally, like academic was never a like motivator to join, and for me, it was a bit of a more that the college life that typically CS don't get. So that was also there. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Ronak, for sharing your experiences with us. And also to the viewers, thanks a lot, dear viewers, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode of Fincast. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ronak.
Thanks. Thanks. Bye bye.